Okay, here's my stance for the rock and roll. Nothing super special, just a comfortable standard cruising stance, I guess you might call it. And if anything, I like my front foot, the toe on the inside of the board just a tiny bit, because when you're learning this trick, it's easy for you to lose contact with the board with your front foot on the toes. So maybe if anything, just your toes inside the rail just a tiny little bit. But beyond that, just your common cruising stance. Okay, so before we get further into describing how the rock and roll works and how to do it, there's some people that suggest trying to do a rock and roll or learning a rock and roll, something like this, tapping the board midway, and that's about the extent of it, and trying to turn back in, or tapping it and getting the front wheels to touch the deck and then turning back in. And I'm going to suggest right from the word go that you don't learn it that way. It's harder, and it doesn't work out well, and it's really easy to mess it up. So I would suggest going up and learning it decked, what we call decked, right from the start. That's all the way up, front wheels onto the platform, and back truck all the way smacked up against the coping. And the reason that I suggest this is when you learn it right, like this, you get a lot of leverage because your board's fully on the top. You get a lot of leverage to turn the board and make it come back in easier without clipping the front wheels. And also, when you're decked with your truck all the way forward, your back wheels never leave the riding surface. So when you go to turn back in, you have leverage and your wheels are already on the surface. If you go something like this, you don't get a lot of leverage trying to get this to come out, and you can clip your wheel. Or if you go like this, your board is seesawing, and that doesn't give you a lot of time to clear the front wheels when you come back in, and your leverage is nowhere near as good. So that's the problem with kind of doing mid-board rock and roll, especially if you go like this and seesaw it. You don't get a lot of leverage, and the likelihood that when you go to turn back in, you're going to clip the wheel is really strong. And if you clip the wheel when you turn back in and you're committed to the turn, what's going to happen is the board's going to stop and your body's going to keep turning, and you're going to fall to the bottom and face plant. So definitely don't want that. So again, that's why I suggest boom, all the way up decked. A lot of leverage on the tail. Your wheels never leave the riding surface, so when you go back in, you got everything working in your favor. Okay, here's how we approach for the old rock and roll. You want to go up the wall with moderate speed, just enough to get to the top. Like you would be basically doing a kick turn at the coping, or even just a small grind. You don't want to go super hot, otherwise it'll get really hard to control it when you get up to the top. So anyways, you want to go as straight as possible, and you want to lift your front wheels up just to where they pass the coping. And about mid-board, give or take, you want to rock the board over. And how you do that is you push your front leg out, and then you compress your back knee. So the board kind of pokes, it pokes over. And like, remember we were saying, it's good if you can get it decked. Front wheels down, back wheels to the lip. And the same time as you rock the board over, you want to turn your upper body the direction in which you're going to turn back in. So for me, I'm goofy foot, and this is a backside rock and roll, so I'm going to poke the board over, and at the same time, I'm going to turn my upper body back into the wall, and I'm going to be looking down the transition all at the same time, rock and turn. And when we skate, our lead shoulder dictates where the board goes. So when we go to turn back in, our shoulder's already pointing down the wall, so it'll make the board turn quicker right back underneath our feet. And when you go to come back in, you have all your weight and your body's on the inside of the wall. It's past the tail, inside the wall. How you do it is basically, you're just doing an exaggerated kick turn. Your upper body's already turned. So you just alleviate what little pressure is on your front foot and just do a kick turn out. It's really that simple. But the key to the trick is you have to get your upper body turned at the same time as you get the board decked. You want them both to happen at the same time to do it really smooth. When you're first learning it, you can rock it over and then turn, but it's a little dicier. It's good if you can try to do it all at one motion. If you do it to where you come up here and stop and are camped out and can literally stand up here in this position, when you go to turn back in, it's going to be really dicey. So you could either clip the wheels and face plant, or clip the wheel and your front foot floats, or if you're lucky enough to get your front wheels over the lip from a complete standstill, what will likely happen is you'll slide out and fall on your butt pile driver style. So that's why I'm saying it's better just to poke it and turn your upper body and keep it on the inside of the wall all at once. The scary part is getting it past this. If you can get it from rocked out and turned into this, then you got it. You're golden. It's just a matter of telling yourself you can make it. So that's the key to it, is poking it over and turning your upper body simultaneously. And it's just an exaggerated kick turn at that point. So go get it. It's not that hard. Once you get past that initial clearing the front wheels in, once you get to there, you got it.